Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Jason, happy Monday morning to you, sir.
Happy Monday morning. We are on a roll.
We are.
Two
We
Mondays in a
are.
row.
I don't necessarily yet know how I feel about you being my first human experience on a Monday morning, but I'm glad you're here.
Well, I'm not sure how to take that. I'm glad to see you too, buddy.
Happy Monday morning to you, sir.
Happy Monday morning. I'm drinking some pink water, I promise.
You're drinking that's some weird stuff. How was your weekend?
Oh man, it was fantastic. It was, I don't know about you guys in North Carolina, but man, it was like this perfect fall weekend.
Well, if by perfect you mean teeing off in 44-degree weather, no, it was definitely not perfect.
Yeah, I mean, at least it wasn't like 100 degrees. You know?
No. See, I don't think you understand. I would much rather it have been 100 degrees than 44.
Oh, okay.
No, I had a golf tournament on Saturday, so it was the first golf tournament of teeing off where I had to wear like multiple layers to tee off, knowing that it was going to warm up throughout the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Jeff's got it, right? 4 layers in the morning to take them all off down to 1 by noon. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So at noon, what hole number are you on?
So the VGA, unfortunately, while they try to force everybody into 4.5 hours of pace of play, it inevitably is a 5.5 hour, 6 hour day of golf, like hands down.
Okay.
There are so many people out there playing. It's so by lunchtime, I think I was only on. So it was Saturday was an 11 o'clock. It was 10:48 tee time for me. So by lunchtime, I was probably only like 7 or 8 holes in.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, so you still had, basically half your game or a little bit more
I didn't finish off the golf course till almost 3:30.
3:30.
Yeah. Man. From a 10:48 tee time. It's a long day.
Now, are you tired after that, or do you still have energy in you?
It depends. A lot of things carry into that, right? So I mean, like, it was a 2-hour drive to the golf course, right? So like, I'm still trying to find like, when do I go stay at a golf location versus like wake up in the morning and do the drive. And so 2 hours is about my limit. At about 2 hours, I'll get up and I'll drive down there. So for a 10:48 tee time, I wanted to be there at 8:48. That way I get 2 solid warm up hours in, right? And so so to get there, I had to leave the house by about 6:30, around in there to get down there and whatnot. And so that wasn't terrible. I wasn't horribly wore out by the end of the day. But I've had some days where, it's been pretty miserable when I get home.
Yeah.
How's your Tesla doing?
Fantastic. In that picture you posted, that's total garbage. It's total garbage because the car will not drive down the road while plugged in and charging to anything.
I'm sure you figured out how to
any false images that you post about me. People that drive a Tesla can see right away that the car will not drive while it's charging.
We haven't given you shit for your Tesla in a while, and when I saw that, I posted it in Discord chat. You guys can hop on over to Discord chat and see the behind the scenes of Jason driving his Tesla down the freeways of Michigan.
How about you? How is your lemon car going? Did you ever get your lemon situation figured out there?
I tell you too much. Yes, the Mercedes is doing just fine. Thank you for asking.
That's good. That's good.
All right, Chad. Well, let's get down to business here. Now that we've you can tell like it's Monday morning. We got to give each other shit Monday morning. Welcome to Monday morning's cyber threat brief. We've now moved, as you can tell, to weekly Cyber Threat Briefs with Jason. Jason and I get to see each other first thing in the morning, Monday morning, and talk about cyber threats. We've got a slew of them for you today, but first, let's hit a couple rules. We are streaming live across multiple platforms, Twitch, YouTube, LinkedIn, X. If you're looking for me on my LinkedIn, unfortunately, you're not on my LinkedIn today. You should be over on Jason's BitLift Team's LinkedIn. Thank you, LinkedIn, for not allowing me to stream to two different LinkedIn profiles at the same time. With that being said, we do have a couple rules in chat. Please, across all those different platforms, please keep chat free of any racist, sexist, misogynistic, elitist, and otherwise toxic behavior. We have a zero tolerance for that here on stream. We do have our moderators in chat. It's a huge chat for our moderators across all the platforms who are here to keep chat free of any racist, sexist, misogynistic, elitist, and otherwise toxic behavior. The only toxicity you should see is the shit that Jason and I give each other. They're not here, however, to stifle chat in any way whatsoever. They're here to make sure that your voices get heard. Do ask questions. That's one of the values of this stream being live. First thing in the morning on Monday gives you an opportunity to ask questions to Jason and I, especially when we talk about some of the things that are happening in the world today. We have our topics. I've got my topics curated. Jason's got his topics curated. We're going to try to hit as many of them as possible with a little color commentary in between. But obviously, if there are things that you want to talk about or questions you want to ask, please feel free to drop them into chat at any point in time. Our moderators will grab them, add them to a giant queue, and pop them up on screen at the appropriate moment for us to dissect and chat about as well. Ready?
I am ready, man.
You ready? All right. Now that we got that out of the way, do you want to go first? Who went first last week? I don't remember who went first last week.
God, I've slept since then.
So you slept? All right. Then I'm going to go first. because it's AI related.
We're talking about AI again.
Dude, you missed Friday's stream, dude. There was a lot of AI on Friday.
Yeah.
So again, like Jason knows this, Chad, you guys know this. Like I'll talk the good and the bad about AI. And it just so happens that we've got some bad AI news this morning.
Yep.
You could call it bad AI news. You could call it bashing Microsoft. Either one of those will work. I mean, they're both valid. But for those who aren't aware, Jason, I don't know if you know this or not. I know how much you stay out of the Microsoft business. But Microsoft has Copilot, right? Which is their, corporate.
I'm familiar with Copilot.
You familiar with Copilot? Okay, I wasn't sure.
I don't live underneath a rock, man.
I mean, Michigan's kind of close, dude. Michigan's kind of close. Copilot is Microsoft's built-in chat GPT that they use literally everywhere. They have shoved it down everybody's throat in every product that they have. They're obviously sunsetting Windows 10 and pushing everybody to Windows 11, which is like Copilot on by default, right? And so like Copilot is everywhere, and we've seen.
They need to train it.
They need to train it, obviously. So what better way to train it than on everybody's Office 365 data?
Yeah,
total sense. Makes total sense. Yeah. And again, like I want to preface this by saying it's fun to bash Microsoft any day of the week, like any day of the week. They are indeed the number one platform for desktop operating systems, server infrastructure, things like that on the entire planet. So it makes sense that when you're in the hands of that many people, you're bound to have some vulnerabilities. And so hackers being hackers, Jason, have discovered a new phishing technique that they've dubbed Co-Fish, as with Copilot, right? That weaponizes Microsoft's Copilot Studio to deliver fraudulent OAuth consent requests via legitimate and trusted Microsoft domains. Basically, it's social engineering at its core, as if there was any shocker to that. It's social engineering at its core. But what it ends up doing is they basically... the agents that are hosted on their copilotstudio.microsoft.com, users can create topics and workflows and agents. They built this entire platform to be able to do so. And by doing so, attackers were able to send OAuth requests via Copilot Studio, which then pop up on users' browsers and in users' workflows and get them to authenticate to Microsoft-based services, which then sends those OAuth tokens to a hacker for them to then try to replay and use as part of a phishing campaign. So it's the way that I like to talk about this, right, is the TTP isn't new. It's still phishing. As a matter of fact, OAuth session hijacking isn't a new TTP. It's still very much in the news on a day-to-day basis. Hell, even using Microsoft's own infrastructure in SharePoint and OneDrive and things like that, that's not even a new technique. What just happens to be new is leveraging, this AI hype and this AI push via Copilot Studio to disseminate it.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I love that we keep dealing with the same problem over and over and over again. I mean, and if you think about it, Microsoft hasn't even stated that there's a specific patch out for this issue yet.
Yeah.
I mean,
as a matter of fact, I do believe I read that they actually explicitly said Microsoft has confirmed that it plans on fixing the underlying causes in a future update. So it doesn't even rank highly from a bug exploitation perspective.
That makes me feel so warm inside that at some time in the future, Microsoft is going to fix the underlying problems that we're dealing with.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, and in the meantime, there are a little bit of droplet of recommendations out there, is like disabling user ability to register new apps by default, monitoring for suspicious OAuth grants, like as if we're not already supposed to be monitoring our environment, right? And then educating users on verifying consent prompts.
But let's talk about that for a second, right? Because I do think it's like I don't know. I get really heated on this. You are not going to stop an enterprise from allowing users to delegate authorization access via OAuth tokens in any enterprise. Yeah. You're not. It's not going to happen.
No, I mean, you're going to assess risk. Risk is relatively low here, and the business needs to continue to operate.
Yeah. If I'm going to go to a website and it's going to allow me a social login with my Microsoft login, right, like that is a 99.9% on for even the most strictest of enterprises.
Yeah, I could think of like, IT managers in the last couple of weeks were like, "Oh yeah, if you're going to use your Microsoft login, you're good to go."
Yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it. We've got it set up that way. Yeah.
Until you hear about this.
Yeah. I don't want, like, I know I said that this would come across as an AI bashing type of threat intel. I don't mean for it to, other than to just continue to harp on the fact that it's not AI that's the problem. Ish. Right? It is an unprotected hype cycle barrier to entry that has little to no oversight. But that's not a function of bad AI.
Yeah, it's not. It's just the usage of custom AI agents.
Yeah.
Right? I mean that's where we see like when we say criminals are using AI, we're not just saying that to like scare people. We're saying think about it, right? It's going to be used in this fashion to mimic OAuth, right? To mimic the things that are normal in your environment. And so you have to look at it like if you're using AI for good, somebody out there, I haven't met them yet, other than Neal, but is going to be using AI for bad. Right? Just in a different way. They are going to figure it out. And by the way, it's not that tough when you're using AI to walk down some of these queries, and then later you just create a custom AI agent to do what you're talking about. I mean,
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I mean, it's relatively ingenuity.
Yeah.
If you think about this, this is actually somebody that's pretty smart.
Talk about the use of seeing that you could use Copilot Studio for this type of OAuth hijacking.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. But I mean, I think that that's the nature of that's the nature of bad guys. I was about to say that's the nature of hackers. I don't want to insinuate that hacker equals bad, but I think that that's the nature of criminality. They see opportunity to turn something into something that is advantageous to them.
They're capitalists. You see opportunity and you capitalize on it.
I think it's funny that the Elon Musk Tesla owner is bashing capitalism now. Not a political stream, chat. Not a political stream. No, you're not wrong. Like I think that's what, when we talk about like the persona of hackers, is that they see opportunity where other people don't.
Right.
Good or bad, unfortunately.
And I'm joking when I say capitalists and things like that. That you're 100% spot on, and that's why I'm sort of like I hope the audience hears like that we don't often, when we're in IT, because I'm thinking about like many of the IT people that I've sat down with and chatted with and teams that I've worked on, we see it for operational context, right? But these folks are seeing, they're just sitting down and seeing it differently. They're seeing the opportunity in there, to take it a different direction. Whereas you're seeing the opportunity to take it in the direction that you want it to work, and operate this piece of software or this network or whatever. And it's just different opportunities, right?
So speaking of opportunities, I want to clarify for chat. There seems to be just a tad bit of confusion when we talk about OAuth. If you've ever signed up for a SaaS service, right? You go to create an account, and you can either choose to create a username and a password, or you could choose to social log in with your Google account or your Microsoft account or whatever the case is. That's what we're talking about with session hijacking. You can click on that social login for, log in with my Microsoft account, and you're presented with an OAuth, page that says, do you authorize Microsoft, or do you authorize this application to utilize your Microsoft permissions and credentials to execute on this app? The way that these attacks work is, most people are easily familiar with that form of authentication delegation, where it's like, I'm going to use my social login to log into this website. That way I'm associated with Query or BitLift or whatever the company is when I log into that software. What's happening is that these attackers are basically creating these fake authentication pages that ask for those OAuth delegation rights as part of the poisoning of the Copilot Studio. And what's ultimately happening is that they're authorizing a malicious adversary application to have that user's permission inside of that Microsoft environment. It's just the same old type of authentication-based attack we've seen before, except we don't have to phish a username and a password, because the social login just allows the user to click accept right there on the page and pass that delegated authentication right on over to the attacker.
Yeah, and so like if you are going to try and educate your users, it's one of the things that Microsoft came out and said is educate your users on what they're granting access to.
Good luck.
That's like good luck. It's like read the T's and C's and all the legal language before you click the button. I read this and accept.
You mean you don't read all the T's and C's before you click something?
Every time. That's for this stream only. But if you think about it, if there is an app in there that acts like, right? I mean, it's a fake app. To go along with what Neal is saying is you basically you're giving the permissions and the credentials through that OAuth token session over to an app that's registered, right? So if you do that, it could be anybody. Like Neal could go and fire up an app inside the Microsoft app registration, and it looks like, acts like, feels like something else. And so that's this is going to probably switch to just a different type phishing, and that's why they're naming this the way that they are.
But
But
we have seen a
it's
ton
just
of these over the last 2 years. We've seen a ton of OAuth based attacks, especially against Microsoft. We've seen it with GitHub. This is how some of the AWS keys and GitHub keys have been leaked and things like that.
yeah. I mean, OAuth is a vulnerable spot.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely a vulnerable spot, and everybody was like, "Oh, well, we need to switch to this whole token-based system. It's going to be safer." um, Now here we are, 5 miles down the road, and we
Right.
figured out it's actually not that much safer. But
And I think and this is now that you're hearing Jason and I explain what it is, now it makes sense when Jason and I say, like, asking an enterprise, and just to give you a scope of enterprises, right? I know sometimes there's an idea, well, Query's only 26, BitLift's 30-ish or so employees, but like when I was at Abbott Mondelez, we're talking 250,000 employees. Like, you're not going to educate 250,000 employees not to use OAuth social login type of functionality with any single digit percentage of success, right? It's just not going to happen.
You could try and send out more emails, that educate the people.
You could try to force them into more yearly training.
Yes, we are going to do monthly training. Monthly.
Guys, this is why Jason can't be CISO. We can't have Jason CISO.
Yeah. I already get it when people like look at me and they're like, wait a minute, we've got to do that. Like, it does fall into the security. But
yeah.
Hey,
all right.
Well,
I was gonna say you've got one as well. I know. And hold on.
Yeah.
My telepathy's kicking in. Now that I just bashed AI or Microsoft, I've got a 50-50 shot. I'm going to say you're going to bash Microsoft next.
I am going to bring up the Microsoft. This is only for our audience because I care and love you guys so much. But if you guys haven't heard, I hope you have heard, but if you haven't heard, the WSUS server service has had some problems lately.
This sounds sus, Jason.
Yeah, this sounds very sus. So if you use the Microsoft Windows Server Update Service, shocker, it's got a vulnerability that they had to release an emergency patch updating a critical flaw, right? Allowing attackers to actually compromise, update processes, and potentially inject malicious code. This was a 0-day that was actively being exploited and targeted. Can you believe it? Last week on Monday, you and I talk about there are 0 days.
More 0 days now than ever. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I believe this is what I believe. I believe there is some sort of I believe that there is somebody listening to this stream audience, and then they do what we are talking about this week, and then it ends in news.
And then
because
it turns into news.
We have talked about so much stuff, and then the following week or two later, it like comes up.
I gotta go back a couple steps though. Do people still use WSUS? I mean, I guess that falls in the same camp of like people still using XP and whatnot. I can't believe that WSUS is still a thing.
Well, it is.
Is it?
Again, think about these large environments. Not everybody has moved to the Windows Intune.
I was gonna say, was it Evergreen? I think is what they the ones that they or the system that they talked about it where you rotate through all your patch life cycles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still out there and available. I mean, it's kind of like Exchange. We thought Exchange was fully in the cloud, and now you find out that there's like 80,000 servers still out there in the wild.
But I mean, to Jason's point though, chat, right? I mean, like if Microsoft's releasing emergency patches for it, there must be a large enough cohort of enterprises still using WSUS servers for updates.
Yeah. I find it kind of amusing that their recommendation was immediately apply the patch to the Windows Update server. the thing that is supposed to be updating everything else.
Please patch the patch server.
Because if you don't, we don't know what's going to happen. No,
I
they do
don't
know.
I don't know. I am convinced. I am convinced that I'm going to exit cybersecurity either of natural or unnatural causes, and patching will still be the thing that we fight every day in cybersecurity.
I think yes. When you and I pass on from here to there, our last stream, we're going to be like, we're still talking about.
We're still talking about Microsoft patches, chat.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's true. It's true. Like there's like I think we're still going to be like I came out of the military in 2013. When I was in the service in 2013, Windows 10 was only a couple years old. And so we were still hacking in the military largely against NT, 95, XP, right? 2000, right? 2008 servers at the most all time. And I distinctively remember coming out of the military in 2013 and saying, thank God I'll never have to see another end-of-life operating system in my entire life. Yeah, that's how disillusioned I was when I came out of the Air Force in 2013. Coming into the private sector, I was like, the private sector's got a shit ton of money. They're protecting more assets. They're way more vested in good security than the government ever is. I remember, I distinctively remember that thought.
Did you go to the doctor after that, like the eye doctor? Were you still wet behind the ears?
I definitely saw the mental health professional at the VA. I was like, I need some PTSD help because like I just got done dealing with some shit in the military, and now here I am looking at some end of life stuff in the very first company I went to go work for. That's why. But Chad, that's why I tell you, like, it'll never go away. Yeah. It'll never go away.
I mean, we're going to be dealing. If you think about it, there's always going to be patches to put in place. It's software. We're fighting a code war. We're going to be patching from now until ever. Until the end of time. We're going to be patching it. I brought this up last week, and I kind of feel like there's some relevancy to it. It's a newer concept, right? But so maybe you don't patch, but you just stand up a brand new version of that. I really like the way that containerization and is being used, and you can solely focus. Now, again, I think that where the Debbie Downer situation comes in here is that, I'm sorry, Debbie, is
rip Debbie,
is the mere fact, is the mere fact that like you can't containerize everything, right? And so some people are saying, well, 25% of my environment or 50% of my environment we can't containerize. And I'm like, well, but the other 50% you can, and we could reduce the risk by just, focusing single-use containers. And then,
but that doesn't scale. Like I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced that solves a truly large enterprise from a scaling perspective.
I don't disagree on the truly large enterprise side, but I think my mind goes to a lot of the mid-market and the smaller entities that can scale and move a little faster. I'm trying to keep the topic broad from a perspective of like, not everything that we say is going to be applicable at the large enterprise, and it's also not going to be applicable at the smaller shops.
Yeah.
But I know some shops that are a couple hundred people in size, 200, 300, 400 people in size. And that's what they have sort of based their situation on. Their
just single use containers that they spin up and tear down just every time there's new issues and whatnot.
Yeah. They burn through hundreds of containers a week.
Wow.
And, so, the container could literally live for 8 to 24 hours. And every time they push new code or push an update or something like that, the update happens to a gold image in the background, and then they spin up a new one and decom the old one that had a vulnerability.
Interesting. We may have to do a dedicated topic to that one a little bit. That's pretty interesting. Yeah. I'm gonna pivot on you. I'm gonna pivot on you really fast because.
Are you going to talk about your new browser?
I'm not. No, but chat beat me to it. It's on. I've got it in queue. I'll push it up when it's time, but I've got it in queue. Okay. No, I'm going to talk about Pwn to Own because I've been in the business of buying exploits in 0 days. When I was in the military, working for the agency, I rarely mention it, on stream and things like that. But, we worked with several companies to acquire 0 days all the time. I got introduced super early to Pwn to Own. If you're not familiar, chat, we talk about bug buddies on stream. Pwn to Own has existed long before BugCrowd, HackerOne, any of those companies have ever existed. It's typically held in France. It's a yearly competition where literally security researchers across the globe spend the entire year researching vulnerabilities in browser technologies. Now they've extended it to mobile technologies and whatnot, and they come to these Pwn to Owns, and it's truly a gamified version of how quickly can you own a lot of these technologies. It's traditionally been kind of like the browser wars. We've oftentimes come out of Pwn to Own with here's 5 new Chrome 0 days, which will lead into Jason's bit here in a second, right? That were all released during Pwn to Own. Well, this year, the focus of Pwn to Own is around WhatsApp. And we've seen WhatsApp in the news a lot, whether it's NSO Group, whether it's privatized intelligence, whatever. There was a group on the final day of Pwn to Own. There was $1 million bounty up for grabs for what they were talking about was a 0 day, 0 click remote code execution in WhatsApp. Mm-hmm. There was a group of researchers that was coming to Pwn to Own with allegedly a 0 day, 0 click remote code execution, and then they never showed up. At first, it was reported that they had flight issues. Then the team withdrew their WhatsApp entry from Pwn to Own, and they said, as they withdrew their entry, that they did not feel their research was ready to publicly demonstrate. And so now the rumor is, Jason, that somebody has offered them more than $1 million for this 0 day, 0 click remote code execution in WhatsApp.
The question is would you take it?
Oh, you're going to ask a moral ethic question on first thing on a Monday morning.
I need to see where you're at on this.
You need to see where I'm at on this? You're not, everybody's got to get paid, dude. This one, what? You wanted to know where I was at?
So you're right there. You're right there with the people on Canal Street in New York selling fake Gucci and fake Kate Spade purses and fake Rolex watches because they got to get paid.
Dude,
they got to earn a living.
I'm telling you, like I don't think there is enough respect. I don't think that there is enough respect for the choice of ethics that get chosen by professionals in cybersecurity. Let me say that.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that I've had this thought, but let's just assume that I've had this thought for the sake of this conversation.
Yeah.
I've been a nation state hacker.
Yeah.
Do you think that there was more money for me on the private side versus going to be a criminal somewhere with nation state capabilities?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that I would. I'm not saying that I've ever had this conversation with myself, but I don't think that people realize that most cyber professionals who are halfway decently skilled are one financial bad decision away from turning over a new leaf.
Yeah. So I give you static, but it's, what difference would it be if the person turned in a bug bounty?
There'd be a huge difference.
Right.
It's a massive difference. The price to pay $1 million for a 0-click, 0-day RCE on WhatsApp when NSO made $1 billion business out of privatized yeah.
So your side of this is the guy got paid too low. He made a deal for too less of money, not enough. It should have been 5 million, 10 million.
What my stance is that if businesses want to try to apply business logic to something that China, Russia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Thailand, India, any other country in the entire world with billions of dollars that they put towards cyber offensive capabilities every year, and they think that $1 million is enough to keep the good guys good and keep the good guys from being bad, they are way wrong.
Yeah.
That's my point. $1 million look at it from a business perspective. Let's call this M&A.
Yeah. I could see that.
So you're going to tell me that Meta, if this was an M&A transaction, Meta is only valuing this company at $1 million.
Right. No way.
What would you do if it was an M&A transaction? You'd go find another buyer, wouldn't you?
Oh, heck yeah. Absolutely.
So no. Do I believe in responsible disclosure? Absolutely. 100%. I also believe if you're going to conduct a business transaction, you better be willing to pay what it's worth.
Yeah. I think you should reach out to this this group of individuals and I think you should coach them and then maybe charge them a fee.
Help them do the M&A transaction and see.
Yeah.
No,
yeah,
they don't need my help. They've sold that thing already. I would be absolutely shocked. I'd be absolutely shocked if in 6 months we don't hear through the news cycle that Meta has discovered some 0-day, 0-click RCE against WhatsApp and at dollars to donuts, it's tied back to this pwn-to-own issue.
Yeah. So there you have it, folks. If you want to get into cybersecurity, the real money can be made. The real money can be made in finding out 0-day, 0-click vulnerabilities. You're going to go to a show, you're going to go to a conference, you're going to showcase them. Make sure your contact info is readily available. Make sure your contact info is your attorney. Make sure that they contact your attorney's office when they start to broker the deal.
You should. Listen. I can tell you, it's a shady business by no shortage of shadiness in that business model whatsoever. There is a lot of money to be had through private buyer 0 days, and $1 million, like, it doesn't surprise me. Like, I have no knowledge as to whether that happened or not, but seeing the story and reading about the vulnerability and reading about the issue doesn't shock me.
You can speculate. And you're saying you are speculating, but you can speculate because you've been in the industry long enough to know, like, you can see the writing on the wall.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And somebody in chat's like, somebody in chat said, like, there are people who find bugs from third world countries. To them, $1 million is like 10. I don't disagree with that by any stretch of the imagination, which is why if they were going to go to pwn-to-own thinking that they were going to get $1 million, and then some shady person picked up a giant red phone, called them up and said, I'd give you $250 million for it. They're like, F you, pwn-to-own. Like, I don't disagree with you, but I'm just saying, like, there was a phone call that happened ahead of Pwn to Own to say, we got a bag of cash for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jason,
So,
I know this one you wanted to talk about today. Chat
yeah.
asked, seems GPT browsers are already shown to be sus against even some of the basic attacks in a hurry. I know this one was on your list of things to talk about today.
It was, and it was crazy. Like, you and I ended the stream last week. We went off about our day.
Yeah.
I had a busy day. You had a busy day.
Yeah.
And then, but like, we text messaged near the end of the day real quick on like, hey, this new browser came out. And then, hey, it's got some vulnerabilities. And then, oh, by the way, it's nothing more but something built on Chromium.
Right.
And so the joke is, like, I don't think anybody's out there developing and creating a new browser. They're just like reinventing and building off of Chromium. That's it. They're really not reinventing from scratch. They're just building on top of Chromium, which is not a new browser.
But we've said this too on stream. Is using a forked version of an open source project, is that making your own? Because Chromium is technically an open source project, and so they forked Chromium to make so chat, we're talking about OpenAI. OpenAI released Atlas browser last week, which was their, there's a long history here. This is turning into a rat's nest of business stuff, right? Because DOJ, or not, it's not DOJ that mandates monopolistic events. That's I forget which branch of the government it is. Not the SEC. FTC, the Federal Trade Commission. God, there it is. FTC. Right, the FTC, this had happened a year ago, had come down and told Google that they had to divest Chrome. And so for a year, Google has been in a fight to divest Chrome. Well, there's obviously a lot of business that talks about, like, AI is the new form of search. They see a divestiture of Chrome. Perplexity was the first one to make an offer. I think it was, like, Jason, keep me honest, like $8 billion that Perplexity was going to offer Google for Chrome if they ended up having to divest Chrome. And so that led to Perplexity developing Comet, which is now GA for all users. And then last week we saw OpenAI release Atlas, which is their browser version. And so then the question becomes, Jason, if I fork an open source project and make it my own, isn't that creating something new?
I mean, to some degree. But if you tell me every time Chrome has to be updated that you've got to be updated too, because you're using the foundation Chromium, then at what level, what percent are you creating it? Like, is it 50%? Is it 20%? Is it 10%?
I mean, if you use an NPM package and that NPM package has a vulnerability and that happens to be your core NPM package, are you still creating something new?
I mean, you're creating something new, but it's like, I think people would a little bit agree that the foundational components are still from another software package. So,
and thus the update cycle is still as painful as the original.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like, you're like, oh, I got Brave, so I'm not susceptible to that. Oh no, you are. You're still susceptible to it because even Brave is built on the Chromium package.
There is no net new browser team.
There is no net new browser.
There is no net new browser. There's only two, right? There's Edge and Chrome.
Pretty much.
I guess Firefox is in there too a little bit.
In Safari, but who uses Safari?
Oh.
Sorry, I had to say it.
You had to say it. So yes, Jason, appears that some of the same Chrome vulnerabilities, imagine that, Chrome extensions, still a problem with GPT-based browsers.
Oh my gosh. I talked to an organization in the last couple of weeks, won't name the organization because, privacy, but we recommended that they disable people from being able to install their own extensions and their own plugins into the browser. And we got the question like, well why? Like, the list is long. It's a Christmas list long. Like, why?
I was gonna say, how far back in history do you want me to go?
Right. I mean, because the number of exploitable plugins that do bad things, nefarious things. Like, you should come up with a list of the plugins that are allowed within your organization.
Yeah.
And then you don't allow everything else. And I got a dead stare, and they were like, "Well, how are we going to manage to that?"
Exactly.
And
exactly.
and I'm like, well, there's multiple ways. Like, you can manage to it. It's just that you need to put some policies in place, and you need to, figure out how you're going to address them. But if you don't get a hold of this, you're going to end up one day with a drive-by, a plugin that is literally capturing passwords, plugins that are, mining crypto, that will eventually spread to the rest of the organization.
Absolutely.
I mean, like I said, the list goes on. So we can't, just because I've identified a problem, we can't just skip over it because we can't manage to it.
Well, and this is where this is some of the security fatigue that I think that we get into as an industry, is that many of us don't have the privilege of walking into an organization and setting everything up from ground zero from a security perspective.
Ground zero.
Yeah. And so when we come into an organization, we're coming into, somebody who hasn't seen the doctor in 20 years.
Yeah.
And so there's 20 years worth of bad habits, drinking, smoking, sedentary behavior on the couch, eating McDonald's every day. There's 20 years worth of that behavior from an IT perspective, from a security perspective, that you've got to manage through.
Burn it down.
Yeah.
Burn it down. Burn it down. Like, you walk into that organization, you look around, you're like, let's just start from scratch again. We will have much better success than continuing to work with this garbage.
On that note, on the the note of burning everything down, not quite. Back to the GPT browser stuff. In the same vein, I saw some research last week, because obviously everybody, like, OpenAI is going to be the new Microsoft, because they are so front and center of everything that is commercial and commoditized AI. They're going to be the new Microsoft. And so there are researchers out there all the time trying to get their 15 seconds of fame talking about how bad OpenAI is. And so no shit, I found, somebody who was talking about doing web page prompt injection specifically for Atlas browser. So imagine this, chat. Mm-hmm. You go to a web page, and hidden in the metadata of the web page, hidden in transparent text, hidden somewhere on the page as the page is being rendered by Atlas browser, there is prompt injection that is happening because Atlas browser, because you pull up the tab to the side, you ask Atlas browser, hey, tell me what's happening on this page, and as Atlas browser is reading the HTML for that page, it reads the prompt and injects the prompt into Atlas browser. Hence the reason why on Friday and for every other time, I'm not going to use a bunch of expletives on Jason's LinkedIn page, learn prompt injection, learn prompt engineering, because that is going to be the input validation of today's AI boom. But that's what people are currently seeing as the largest attack surface for data exfiltration for these AI browsers.
Yeah. Man, I think the future's fun and exciting when you think about it, don't you think?
I mean, I'm happy for the job security. I'm happy for the job security.
Yeah. And right along with that, I want to come back over to Windows for a second, because
the 1-2 punch from Microsoft doesn't end with that.
Windows Remote Access Connection Manager had another 0 day, if you can believe it.
Hold on, you mean to tell me attackers still want remote access to Windows?
They do. Can you believe it? I mean, it's kind of like, once you get remote access, a lot of fun stuff happens.
Yeah.
Lateral movement, dropping some payloads.
Yeah.
mimicking other services.
So what?
Oh, by the way, you do some EDR freeze
Oh,
while you're
oh.
there.
It's like Emerald Lagasse. Bam! Look at this.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So what do you got on the Windows
So
side?
so around October 19th, this 0 day allowed hackers to gain and hackers, nefarious people, to gain remote access via spoofed connections. Part of these ongoing attacks, Microsoft released a patch, quickly, very quickly, another one of these emergency patch this now type of situation. If you can believe it or not, it targeted Windows users.
Hmm.
And it enabled unauthorized access for data theft, lateral movement, affecting remote workers. Oh, remote workers. So this is the new norm. So when are we going to stop talking about like remote workers and just talk? One day there's going to be this statement about like in-office workers. You know, it's going to be like this thing.
You've got in-office workers, remote workers, AI workers.
Yeah,
it's going to happen.
Yeah. So their biggest statement here was just go update this patch right now to your Windows system. Disable any unnecessary remote services. Use firewalls to block inbound security. It's just
these all sound like just super intuitive, innovative, techniques to stop bad stuff from happening.
Bad stuff. And you and I were trying to talk about, this is this broadcast, this live stream, right? People are around the globe listening and watching. So if you paid attention to just in the last 7 days, ransomware has been very, very active.
Yeah.
It has affected European airports.
Yes.
Which we seen on October 24th. On October 25th, we seen it actually affect the Dublin airport. Dublin airport had a data breach by Everest ransomware. It affected 1.5 million passenger records. That's probably like a day's worth of passenger records.
Yeah, just normal people moving through Dublin airport.
Normal people moving through, Bayou also had a ransomware by Crypto24. And so if you think about this, like just in the last 7 days, since you and I talked last week, Monday to today.
About ransomware, mind you. We talked about ransomware last week.
About ransomware. Yeah. Sugarland, Texas, the city actually got a ransomware event, stole 800 gigs of data. That's still unfolding. Mobility software solutions had a ransomware event. They say sensitive data of 766,000 customers.
Do you got a hard stop at the top of the hour?
I don't. I'm good. If you're good,
I'm good. Because you're talking a lot about ransomware and data compromise, and something came up on Friday's stream. Chat, we're going to roll over a little bit before we get into co-working. I know you guys are heartbroken about that, but Jason and I are going to roll over just a little bit more and share a couple more opinions. Something came up on Friday about privacy, especially as we talked about the amount of data records that get compromised. Just by your own merit in the last 7 days. I mean, and that's, you exponentially grow that every week for 52 weeks out of the year. There's a lot of private information that is out there on the internet. Do you think privacy is dead?
Boy, that's a really good question, because I thank Equifax all the time for
I think we all have companies that we thank for this reason.
Yeah, but Equifax comes to mind. I like to point them out front and center, because part of the reason why I went and froze my credit.
Yeah.
By the way, you can freeze your credit up to 7 years.
Yep.
You have to write to all 3 parties. But I actually do believe that at some level, privacy is dead, because with $10, $20, $50, you can go find out a whole bunch of information about an individual, and buy their data. You probably can, and then you just have to stitch together uh, the data that you're buying, and you could put together their life story.
And I want to make something clear. I don't think Jason and I are saying that your right to privacy isn't dead. We're not saying that
no.
by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
But we're saying the concept of privacy is dead.
Yeah, because these big companies said, "Oh yeah, we're doing cybersecurity," and then you come to find out that they really weren't taking it serious enough, and they had major breaches that affected their whole entire databases, and they didn't listen to people.
Mm-mm.
I just think of like back in the 2000s, between 2000 and 2010, and we had major breaches that caused entire databases because first name, last name, social security numbers, credit card information, and everything else about their customer was in the same database. Even while at that time it was a known recommendation to have data segregated. Don't have the credit card number right alongside of the rest of the information. Like, we talk about this, like, you should have this data over here, this data over here, this data over here, so that if one gets breached, the whole thing doesn't get breached, right?
Yep.
So, but yes, coming back to this whole, we have a right to privacy. Absolutely, we should. Otherwise, like, I'm trying to think about what right we have left.
Yeah,
we don't have privacy left.
Yeah,
But if you think about this, like, our privacy, though, if you want to go and find out information about an individual or a company, you just got to go. You just got to go spend some time looking.
And the digitization of our entire life, where literally everything, right? Everything is online, right? I mean, you can mortgage records, home ownership information, public court records for traffic tickets, right? Public registries for municipality information, right? All that stuff is all publicly available. Plus all the disclosures on sites like Have I Been Pwned? The data leaks that you could get for, to Jason's point, pennies on the dollar on the dark web. If you are here hearing my voice today, there is nothing about you that's private. Nothing about you that's private. I don't care if you're accessing this on an anonymous prepaid card with a Tor exit node out of Uzbekistan, right, that you've never used anywhere else. Your source human private information was compromised the day you were born.
Yeah. And this is something else that I've been telling people a lot lately, is that we've gone through some assessments and we've gone through some discovery conversations with some companies, and we tell them, like, literally, you should not be using your operating account checking. Like, the check is the most vulnerable thing out there. Arguably.
Yeah.
And so we need to think about, where we keep money, our credit cards versus our checking account and our debit card. We need to think about these as like different buckets, right? So I'm willing to have this bucket potentially, if it does get exploited, pwned, hacked, whatever, and I lose this, you hedge your bet against how much you're going to lose, right? So I was talking with a Secret Service agent not too long ago, just a little while back. He said that max here in the United States, you have 72 hours to figure out that you have a cash moved out of your account problem. Because if it goes beyond 72 hours, they have a very, very, very hard time, and their likelihood is diminished greatly of clawing that money back.
That's just based on how many hops it makes as it leaves your account.
Yes. So, it could move from, you might bank at a branch, down the road from your house or something, but headquarters might be in a completely different
Sure.
area. And then if money is moved wire to wire to wire,
Yeah.
well, yeah, they may only have, like, you have 72 hours max. I tell people that all the time because the Secret Service agent said, listen, he goes, I've worked cases where it was like 73, 74, 75 hours ago, and the money was, seven hops later, and then it was gone.
Mm.
It was moved out of, and it was under thresholds.
Yeah.
But if you have, I know it's a little off topic, but if you have most of your money, or if you have a large sum of money sitting in your checking account, business wise or personal wise, it's really not a good idea. Like, you need to move that money to a separate account that's not tied to your checking account, simply because at some point your checking account's probably going to get pwned.
Yeah. It's like, and I don't think Jason and I are saying this to be doomers and gloomers. Like, I think you come to us because we're realists, right? We are.
Yeah.
This is the reality of 40 years consolidated, at least, between Jason and I, worth of cybersecurity and IT experience that we've got in this space, where it's like, you guys just have to realize that, like, this is a zero-sum game. Like, we're not in this game to win. There is no winning in this game.
It to me, it's a lot like chess. And while you're playing a game of chess, you're going to lose some of your players.
Yep.
You're going to lose some pawns. You lose a knight.
Yep.
But the whole thing is you are going to get to checkmate. The thing is you don't want to get checkmated.
Yeah.
Before you weren't prepared.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, I'd even go a step further, right? It's all about protecting the king and the queen. It's all about protecting the king and the
100%.
queen. Right?
Yeah.
Like, that's all we're doing. We're just moving pieces on a chessboard, protecting the king and queen. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this week's threat. You guys enjoyed this week's threat brief. God, Jesus, I couldn't talk this morning. That's all we're trying to do, is help you protect your king and queen as you go about your day to day. Not here to make you guys Debbie Downers when it comes to cybersecurity, but just to make you guys realist about what's happening in the headspace today. We are going to do a co-working stream after we send Jason along his way, so do stick around for that. If you've never participated in a co-working stream, hit ! co-working in chat so you can kind of see what that's about. Jason, what are you focused on this week?
Well, if you need some TP, I would highly recommend going and grabbing your TP-Link router and using it for just that.
When you said TP, I thought you were going to go to the bathroom.
Yeah. But TP-Link, our favorite friends over there, if you've got these in the business, get them out. Don't recommend them, but man, this week is going to be another fun-filled week. We've got a busy schedule at BitLift. I'm sure it sounds like you've got a busy schedule at Query.
I do.
I do. And there's a lot of fun stuff happening in the cybersecurity space. And you and I are probably going to see this week some more 0 days, 0 clicks, and ransomware activity that we will be right here next week, ready to talk about it all.
All right, Jason, kick ass this week. We'll see you later.
See you.
All right, chat. Thanks for tuning in. It was a great stream this morning with Jason. We're going to transition over to a co-working stream. If you've not participated in a co-working stream, I highly encourage you to stick around for a co-working stream. I've got a weird co-working day today. No meetings throughout the day, but I have a 9 p.m. meeting tonight. Yay! So this may end up being a really, really long co-working stream. Depends on if I co-work through my 9 p.m. meeting tonight. We'll see. I don't know. Depends on how crazy my day gets. With that being said, no stream on Friday. We will not have Tea with a Hacker on Friday. I am in New York this week. I have 1 day in New York. Listen to me very carefully. If you are in or around the New York metro area, Midtown Manhattan, hit me up if you want to meet on Thursday. I can do a handful of meetings on Thursday. If anybody is in the Midtown area or can make it to the Midtown area, hop into my DMs, roll into my DMs. If you want to meet in Midtown on Thursday, I'm happy to meet you somewhere in Midtown, Manhattan on Thursday. Free mentorship, free advice, free conversation, whatever the case is that you want. Happy to do that on Thursday. But with that being said, I won't be doing Tea with a Hacker on Friday because I'll be in New York this week. So with that being said, we'll do co-working today, possibly co-working tomorrow, and then you'll have Brandon with Daily Cyber on Wednesday, and then we'll see y'all next Monday. We're gonna transition over to co-working. Let's put some music on. Let's go with work. Cool. There's that. Let's kill those lights so I don't look so washed out. And let's drop in. Let's do some aim to the head. It feels like an aim to the head kind of day today. Let's do, here we go. Aim to the head official. All right, y'all, let's get to work.